Today we are going to be introducing our dogs to treadmill training. This is excellent to make sure you keep your dog fit and healthy, especially on those rainy days where you're unable to take your dog out for their normal walk and exercise routine. We're going to be demonstrating with my Malinois Ari using the Lifepro Paw Runner Pet Treadmill. The first thing that I do with any dog that I'm teaching how to run on a treadmill is to first teach them what I like to call the climb command. A lot of people also call this the place command. It's simply an elevated platform. You can see Ari standing on one right now. Anytime we teach a dog a new behavior, first we have to make sure we can get them to do it with a physical cue before we put it on a verbal command. I'm going to be demonstrating two different types of physical cues in this video. One is known as luring. The next one is known as leash pressure. So with luring, all I'm going to do, I'm going to guide her with the food. Once she completes the behavior, I'm going to mark and reward. I use two markers that are predictors of positive reinforcement. They predict a reward. One is known as a continuation marker. The other one is known as a terminal marker. During this part of the exercise, I can use either marker. The continuation marker for my dog is yes. Anytime I say yes, that means she's going to receive a reward. My terminal marker is free. And anytime I say that, she's going to come to me usually to get the reward. Yes means reward. Free means release and reward. Since we're not adding the command just yet, we don't have to worry about a stay. Therefore, we can use either marker for this step in the training. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to guide her off. Yes, mark and reward. Guide her back on. Yes, mark and reward. I can use the terminal marker. Free, reward, free, reward, and she already knows the game, going on and off on the platform. The next one is using leash pressure. Now you have to make sure your dog has been taught on leash pressure. Every dog has what's known as a classical opposition reflex, meaning we pull one way on the leash. What do? They hunker back into position and resist. They pull in the opposite direction. What we want to do is we want to teach them to go with the pressure on the leash. When you're first teaching a dog to go with the pressure on the leash, you apply pressure and then you lure them in the direction you want them to go. She's already trained on leash pressure, so when I start to walk in a direction, she will follow it. And then I can mark and reward as before. Now the difference between using a combination of negative reinforcement, that's what leash pressure is, and positive reinforcement, instead of just using positive reinforcement is limited by how much your dog wants the reward, which Ari is very food motivated. Negative reinforcement removes the option of choice, but we're still gonna pay our dog for doing the behavior. Yes, so same thing, I can use either marker, free. Once we can have our dog doing a nice play stay or a climb stay, then we're going to do the same thing when we introduce them to the treadmill. If you want to add the command, in the very beginning, I like to use the terminal marker. So again, for Ari, that's free. So this way I can get her to do the behavior on the verbal command because I do the implied stay, meaning when I tell a dog to go to a commanded position, the stay is implied. They have to do it. When I verbally say the command, sit, down, come, heel, whatever the case is. So now that I'm going to introduce the command, in the beginning, I use the terminal marker. So it teaches her the faster you do the behavior, the faster you're going to be released and you're going to get the reward. Plus, I don't have to worry about the stay in the very beginning. So off, free, climb, free, and I can have her go back and forth, free, to get the reward. Climb, free, good girl, climb, free. And if I wanted her to stay on the position, I can tell her climb, and I could say nothing at all. So now she's on a climb stay. I could say yes and pay her, but she's going to be on a climb stay because yes just means treat. It doesn't guarantee release. Or I could provide verbal praise. Good girl, nice job. But she's still in a climb stay. Now I can release her by calling her to me, giving her a new command, or I can use the terminal marker. I can also use a release word such as break. So break means break, that she can release herself from the position, but it doesn't guarantee a reward. So now I'm going to take her over by the treadmill and I'm going to guide her on the treadmill. Yes. Very good. Now I like to have dogs go off the front of the treadmill because I want them to learn the routine of going on from the back end and coming off on the front end. So I'll just guide her off. Good. Mark and reward. So we're going to do some little circles here. Guide her back. Very nice. And if you want, you can add a command. Now what I usually do is I'll just stick with the climb command And if this is the only elevated platform in the room, your dog's gonna go to it. That's what climb means. It means go to this elevated platform. So for example, if I had Ari in this backyard and I had nothing elevated except for that little kid bench over there, and I told her climb, she would run over to that bench and stand on top of it. Climb. So now that she's right next to this and I say climb, she's going to jump up on the treadmill. Off, and then I can tell her off and she's gonna come off on the front. Again, I like dogs to come off on the front of the treadmill. Ari, climb, yes. Off, yes. Very good. So you want to do this enough to get your dog very comfortable going on and off the climb platform, making it fun, making it enjoyable, creating that strong positive association. Anytime we do something when it comes to dog training, we want to make sure that it's fun. And this is something you do not want to rush. If you rush treadmill training, you could create a negative association and then it's going to be very difficult to get your dog to do the treadmill. We want to make sure they're having fun with it. So it's something that they look forward to. So again, I'm going to tell her off, I'm going to reward her, bring her back around, and have her climb back on. And just like we used the leash before with the other climb platform, we can use the leash here just to give them additional guidance. Yes. And if you're not adding the command, you don't have to worry about the stay. Very good, Ari. And then if we want to add the command climb, now she's on a climb stay on the treadmill. If you want, you can use a treadmill command. You can say treadmill or whatever other command you would like to use. So then that command is very specific to the treadmill. Now that we have our dog comfortable going on and off the treadmill, now we're going to get them comfortable with the treadmill as we turn it on, but we're not going to turn it on with our dog on the treadmill. And you want to make sure you get them comfortable first with the treadmill off, because sometimes if the treadmill's on right away, that might create a little bit of a concern for some dogs, and then they're not going to want to jump on it. But if we get them jumping on and off it without it being turned on, to them it's just another climb platform. So off, got her off, and then I'm going to tell her to climb over here. Very good. Down. So now she's on a down, and I'm going to turn on the treadmill. So we have to make sure the safety connector is on, and then we're going to hit on. It's going to make some noise. I'm going to keep it at the very lowest setting, which is 0.5. And now it's on. She can hear it. She can see it. It's hard for you to hear since we have the AC going, and that's right next to us. But now I'm going to have her walk around the treadmill. I'm going to have her next to it. If she decides to jump up on the treadmill on her own, I will mark and reward that. But I'm going to have her, I'm going to release her and just let her walk around it next to me. I'm going to reward her, and again, creating another nice, strong, positive association. And how do we create strong, positive associations? We have something that the dog enjoys while we're introducing something new, whether it's food, their favorite treat, a toy, something that your dog likes. That's what creates that strong, positive association. So break. And when we use a release word, break, which just guarantees a release, it doesn't guarantee a reward, you can still reward your dog if you want to. It doesn't mean that you can't reward your dog when you say break. It just doesn't guarantee the reward, such as free does. And again, I'm just walking her next to it. I might call her into heel. And she really enjoys obedience training. So just by doing obedience next to the treadmill, she's going to enjoy that. And now she just went to the climb on her own, which is fine because, again, she's not in it. Oh, actually, no, she was in a heel, but that's okay. Break. Come on, Ari. Very good. And now I'm going to turn it up a little bit just so it's a little bit louder. And now I have it at 1.0. Good girl. Yes. And if she wants to step on it, I can reward that, but I'm not asking her to do it just yet. Yes. Very nice, Ari. Come. Down, center. Yes, very good. Yes, nice job, Ari. Yes, excellent. Yes, very good. Down, climb. Good girl. Okay, now that we have her comfortable doing basically what we just did, but with the treadmill on, now we're going to have her on the treadmill and we are going to turn it on. We want to make sure all the safety measures are in place first, such as the auto turn off, as well as having the leash properly attached. So I'm going to take this leash off of her and we will turn off the treadmill. Now the treadmill does come with a remote, so you could use the remote as well. Climb. So I'm going to ask her to climb, and now I'm going to take the leash. And you want to make sure the leash is slightly longer than the safety cord. So now we're going to attach the safety key cord to her collar. When you connect it, you also want to give it a nice pull to make sure it's not going to come off. So excellent. So this way, if she does go back, the key card will be disconnected, which will turn off the treadmill. Again, safety is always priority number one. Next thing is I like to get down at the dog's level. What I like to do is I like to give them a piece of food for every few steps. Now, depending on the dog's confidence, like Ari is a very confident dog naturally, if they're a little bit more confident, we can ask for a little bit more in the beginning. If your dog seems to be a little bit more cautious, then you're going to make the sessions incredibly short and fun. And when I say short, very first one might be only 10 seconds. We might just ask for 1 or 2 steps. Some dogs, when the treadmill starts to move, they'll freeze in place. And then what you have to do is you could either use a little bit of that leash pressure to guide them to take a step forward, mark reward, turn the treadmill off, or what some trainers will do is they'll just help the dog out by applying a little bit of pressure in the back as well as a little bit of pressure in the front. I like to use the leash pressure. You just have to make sure the dog has been properly trained on the leash pressure. So we're going to turn it on. I have a handful of food. 3, 2, 1, go. And I'm gonna reward her as long as she keeps taking steps. Now your dog's gonna look down a lot. So you notice she's looking down. That's because she has to pay attention to where she's stepping. She can't look forward because she has to make sure she's staying on the treadmill. And that's very normal. You're gonna see that with a lot of dogs. And we're just gonna keep giving her one treat at a time. Now what I'm using is I'm using her kibble. So this way I'm not giving her a bunch of treats. I skipped breakfast this morning. I knew we were going to be doing the treadmill training. So I'm using her meal for training. That's what I recommend doing so we're not overloading our dogs with sugary treats. Very good, Ari. Excellent. I'm gonna increase the speed. Each time just pressing it one time. Now, for some dogs, this would be good enough of a session. I would turn it off. Give them another treat, unhook them, and release them off the front of the treadmill. Good girl, very nice. And that would be one first short session. And each time I'm going to continue to build as my dog shows success with it. The longest you want to keep a dog on a treadmill supervised, a well-fit, regularly exercised dog, maybe 30 minutes, but usually very short. Treadmills tend to tire dogs out faster than just a walk or a run. And the reason why, you noticed how she was looking down at the treadmill, they have to pay attention to what they're doing and they have to focus on the speed in which they're going. And because of that, they become mentally exhausted really fast, which adds to their physical exhaustion. So your dog will get way more tired on a treadmill at a much faster rate than they will on a normal walk. So you have to keep that in mind. So now we're gonna do the next step. So maybe the next day, I would bring her back out, bring her back on the treadmill. I can give her a treat for going on nicely. Take the leash. I have treats in my hand, so she's trying to get those. Hook it on, again, making sure that the safety cord is attached as well. And anytime you attach the safety cord, you want to make sure that you do a little pull to ensure that it's nice and snug. Just like with anything, as I was talking about, safety is very important. Anytime I run a dog on a treadmill, I am right there next to them while they're on the treadmill the entire time. When your dog is fully trained on a treadmill, you don't need the leash anymore. This is just in the very beginning, give them a little bit more security. You can have them run on the treadmill without the leash, and Ari is able to do that. So if you were a little bit more advanced, and this is great too, because if she does end up coming off the treadmill, it auto shuts off just like right there, which I didn't tell her to release, but her timing was perfect. And then the treadmill would shut off. But again, you always want to be right next to your dog while they're on the treadmill. So I'm going to ask her to come back around. Have her climb back on. we're going to connect. And again, anytime you're introducing your dog to the treadmill, you want to be down at their level, working with them, making sure that they know that you're going to help them out every step of the way. And we're just going to increase the speed. And as your dog seems comfortable, you can keep increasing it, but nice, gradual, and slow. You want to make sure before your dog comes off the treadmill, it is completely off. So the treadmill stops moving. Now we can release our dog. You don't want to allow them to come off the treadmill while it's still moving. So we're going to release her. We can use a command. We can use the release word, or we can use a terminal marker. I'm going to use the terminal marker. Free. And she pops right off, and I forgot to take off the safety clip. And there we go. Very simple, very easy, but well worth your time. It helps keep your dog nice and fit and healthy so they can live that long life and enjoy every step of the way. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, hit that subscribe button, and as always, we will see you in the next one. Revere. Good girl.